Happy Halloween! Hey guys, I'm Michelle, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 most common energy vampires that you might be encountering on a daily basis and how to avoid them. And at the end of this video, I'll be sharing the #1 energy vampire that we really need to stay clear of the most. What is an energy vampire? Well, an energy vampire is someone or something that makes you feel drained of your energy. And this can show up at work, in your relationships, people, things, and you may not be aware that you've encountered an energy vampire, but afterward, you can definitely feel the effects. If you've encountered an energy vampire, you might be left feeling tired, drained, overwhelmed, even emotionally exhausted. So first I'll go over the 5 most common types of energy vampires, and then we'll talk about how to overcome them. The first kind of energy vampire is email. It's no longer a matter of going into the office and turning on our computers and checking our email. We are literally tethered to our email 24/7. And in her book, Thrive, Arianna Huffington talks about something called email apnea, where we literally stop breathing when we're checking our email. It causes that level of stress and discomfort where it affects our physical body. The second most common type of energy vampire is people. And these are people in your everyday, a family member, a coworker, a friend. We all have them in our lives, and they take many different forms. And it's really tough when you're someone who is compassionate and sensitive and wants to show empathy. But unfortunately, this type of energy vampire drains you emotionally. Energy vampire number 3 is clutter. And it's no wonder that when Marie Kondo came onto the organization's scene, she knocked it out of the park because we want to control the clutter in our lives. If you're faced with clutter on a daily basis, it no doubt has an effect on your emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Energy vampire number 4 is our schedules. I love a good planner. I just bought my 2020 calendar yesterday and I'm already so excited about it. But here's the thing. We are overscheduling ourselves, guys. Busy is not a badge of honor. So if you've hung out with me this long, thank you. And stay tuned a little bit longer because we're coming into the home stretch. So let's do a little recap of the 4 most common energy vampires that we've talked about so far. 1 is email, 2, people, 3, clutter, and 4, overscheduling or our schedules. Let me know in the comments if any of these energy vampires sound familiar to you. The 5th and final energy vampire, and probably the one that we need to stay clear of the most, is self-judgment. Take a moment and close your eyes. How many of your thoughts were positive? How many were negative? Were you kind to yourself? Or could you have shown yourself more compassion? Self-judgment is the single most common energy vampire that high-achieving women face, and it's the most common energy vampire that knocks us off our tracks pretty easily. So the question becomes, what do you do if you encounter an energy vampire? What do you do next? Well, it comes down to boundaries and intention. And I have to say, some energy vampires are trickier to handle than others. But let's start with email and clutter. An example of a boundary around email might be setting aside certain times of the day where you only check email. It's hard to do, I know, but if you set aside certain times of the day for checking email, the other times of the day can be focused on more important tasks. So you can be more productive and you're not receiving that negative feedback constantly. An example around setting boundaries for clutter might be choosing certain days of the week where you tackle those problem clutter areas. Time blocking and setting boundaries around these areas is a signal to not only others, but to yourself to be intentional about what matters most to you. Now, boundaries around other people and boundaries around even our own self-judgment, well, those can be a little bit trickier to do. You want to be able to do it all, right? Decide what your non-negotiables are. Decide that you only have so much to give and so much emotional capacity. And so because of that, you may have to limit some of your interactions if you need to. And this also comes to our schedules and scheduling our lives. Because once we decide what our non-negotiables are, what's really important to us, and setting boundaries around those things, we'll more easily know what to keep and what to lovingly let go of. Now, I know it may be Halloween, but I promise you, you don't have to run around scared that you're going to drop the ball somewhere. Because when you're energized rather than depleted, so much is possible. So I'd love to know, let me know in the comments, what's the first thing you would do if you had more energy? So I thank you again for being here. If you liked today's episode, please give me a like or subscribe to my channel because it just helps that many more people see this message. You never know who might need to hear this today. Thanks so much again for being here, and I'll talk to you soon.